Hey guys, welcome back to Puro Astrology, where we talk all about astrology. I'm your host and astrologer, Denise. In today's video, we're going to be talking about dating culture, online dating, dating on dating apps, what the nature is of love and hookup culture, who thrives in this environment and who is having a tough time. This video is sponsored by my website. If you haven't gone to my website and signed up for updates, I highly recommend you do that. I'm going to be starting an astrology workshop for beginners very soon. It's going to be super fun and interactive. If you like the way that I teach astrology, I highly recommend you sign up for that. It's going to be pretty accessible for everyone, and it's going to have live components. If you're interested in learning astrology from me, make sure you go to my website and sign up for any updates. Let me first describe what I mean when I say air culture. To me, the air culture really represents Instagram, social media, everything that's on social media and on the internet. Because in case you didn't know, the air element in astrology represents information. Instagram is like an exchange of information. So is Snapchat. You're sending pictures, even though pictures are visual information, Libra. All of these things that we are deeply enmeshed in and deeply involved in these days really are all kind of steeped in the element of air. And you cannot say that culture, popular culture, does not affect our individual lives. It does. It changes the way that we do things. And because we live in this information age, it's sort of like it has affected dating and romance and love and relationships and marriage in the long term. Fewer people are getting married now than ever before. People are having less sex these days than ever before. These relationships that people are engaging in really they're lighthearted, they're fun, they're supposed to make you excited, like somebody to talk to really quick. Like you can go on a dating app right now, put up your picture, and if you did a good job at your picture, somebody is going to contact you within the hour or two. And the thing to know about the air element is that it's always going to be very mobile, very swift, lighthearted, and quick. Because if we just think about how air works, air floats to the top because it is the lightest of all of the elements. So because of this is the nature of these social media apps, these interactions, these relationships. Think about it. You could send somebody a message right now, and if they don't reply, is it really the end of the world? It's not, because you could just message somebody else. And if they don't reply, just message somebody else. And that's pretty much how guys live their life on social media. It's very lighthearted. They'll cast their net far and wide and see who bites, right? Because the air element is very wide. Air does not discriminate. Air is open-minded. So because of this, people are out there and they're just kind of like casting their net wide and seeing who they attract. So all of these things, all of these notifications, all of the information that is competing for our attention these days, all of that represents the air culture. And if you have not figured out how to make yourself fit into the air culture, it's going to be difficult for you to date. Let's talk about who is thriving. In case you haven't picked up on it, yes, the people who are thriving are the air signs. Air dominant people like your Libras, your Geminis, your Aquariuses. These people, this is their element and they're swimming in it. They love to have a lot of friends, a lot of people to talk to, a lot of information exchanges, particularly Geminis. Those people, they're into it. They like that they can connect with lots of people very quickly and very easily, that it doesn't cause a lot of distress, right? If you like somebody's picture, is it the end of the day if they don't comment or if they don't send you a message? No, it's not the end of the day, because there's so many other people that you can interact with. So these people, they're thriving, they're living for it, and they're having a great time. And this really brings me to kind of the epitome of this air culture that I'm talking about, this dating culture. I love popular culture, so I like to know what's going on in the world, right? So Fresh and Fit is a podcast and show on YouTube that really focuses all on dating. It is geared towards men, but I'm a girl that likes to do my research, so I really used to enjoy watching it. And the purpose of the show is to talk to a group of women and have them discuss things that might interest men in terms of dating. How could they attract beautiful women? How could they get these women's attention, essentially, right? So one of the questions that they ask the women is, what do you look for in a long-term partner versus a short-term partner? And that question always has bugged me, because I'm just like, you're out there looking for a short-term partner, what's a short-term partner? And if you have no air in your chart, you're going to struggle with that question just like I do, right? But you have to keep in mind that even if you have no air in your chart, even if you're not looking for something short-term, right? you're not looking for something short term, but the apps and the culture is set up for something short term. Why? Why is that? The reason why the culture is set up for short-term things, as I said, air is very lighthearted. It is not attached. It's free flowing. So what I mean by that is, for example, you can be interacting with somebody, you could be exchanging back and forth and you think things are going great, and that person, you say something and they just don't like you anymore, or they find somebody else that they like more. So what happens? They just don't contact you anymore. It's just so easy. They don't have to bump into you at work. They don't have to see you at church. They don't have to see you at school. They're not your neighbor. Like, you don't know them. There's no ties. There's no attachment. So it is just very lighthearted. And so in that way, there's just like a very quick turnover, right? So because of that, it doesn't matter who you are. You have to be sort of primed to put yourself in the ring in that environment. So the people that are not going to have a good time on these apps are the people who either don't have a lot of air in their chart, the people who are very watery, people who have a lot of water in their chart. They don't just want to exchange information. They don't just want to chit chat. They want to get into your heart. They want to seep into your bones. If you're super heavy water dominant, you're going to have a bad time. If you're very earth dominant, earth people, like my Taurus dudes, if you're an air person, you might be looking for someone to talk to, somebody who really stimulates you, who could really have really good conversations with. That would be the air people. But remember that we're all complex. We don't just have one element in your chart. I always say that it's important to know what is your dominant element, because that could tell you a bit about, and I have a video on that. If you haven't seen that video, I also wrote an article about it. It's important to know what your dominant element is so that it could kind of tell you, like, I know I'm an earth person. I'm mostly earthy. So I know that I look for stable things, right? So that's why when I look at this air culture, I feel like an alien from outer space, and I'm observing it and I'm just like, very interesting, and I'm taking notes. And that's why I made this video, because I find it so interesting how relationships these days, the nature of relationships these days is very lighthearted. People talk for a little bit and then you just never see them again, or they can have sex and then you just never see them again. So things come and go so quickly, and they're not as stable as they used to be. People used to date to marry, and still in some cultures that is still like the predominant way of dating. And even though that might not be like the most stimulating like air thing, that might not be the most like enriching emotional experience, it for sure is going to be stable, because like your dad knows that guy's family and they're going to be like, is that a good family? Is that a bad family? All of this, right? That is more like traditional Saturn. Saturn represents tradition. But all of these dating apps, all of this air culture, it has nothing to do with Saturn. It is just, to me, it just seems very air, just air in general. It is all about getting attention. So like you post a picture and people are like it, that's attention. Attention is air. It represents Mercury, right? So you're getting your attention and you're being stimulated. Somebody says something, somebody comments something under your picture. That is information. So these days you either have to get super lucky and know exactly what you want, and that comes from knowing yourself, sitting with yourself and with your chart and figuring out what are the things that are most important to me, and being very discerning when you're out there looking for somebody and not being swayed just by their appearance. Don't just go with your eyeballs, go with your brain and with your heart a little bit and figure out, does this person align with myself, with my elements, with my priorities? And if the answer is yes, if you're looking for the same thing, then that's fantastic. And astrology is a great way of discerning that, of doing that. So you don't have to get lucky. You can just be really good at astrology, be really good at reading people. And a lot of times people will tell you one thing, but actually do something else. So when we're talking about like material reality, we want to focus on Earth, Saturn, real things that we could see and not just words. Because you could say something and do something entirely different. So all of that has to line up, guys. I'm so happy to be making videos again. I had missed you guys so much. I hope you liked this one. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. It's a free way to support the channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. I did it wrong. I'm sorry. I have to do it one more time.
It keeps my heart in overdrive.